If you want to be in that 40%, then start evolving more. Is that when the kids start to see blindfolded, it's not a party trick. Human potential is so much more than our eyes, our ears, and everything.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Holly Hall Show. I have a treat for you. She has been on my show twice. I am so excited and honored that she's on my show for a third time. That's right, 3 times. And we are going to be talking about the education system. We're going to talk about how kids can read blindfolded. We're going to be talking about the telepathy tapes and her latest book that she's writing, including the other 2 books. Welcome, Nicola Farmer, to the show.
Thank you, Holly. It's fantastic to be back here with you, and I really appreciate this time that we get to spend together.
Yeah, we finally got to meet each other. We've known each other for, I don't know, almost a year. When I first reached out to her, when I saw you on kind of debut on Superhuman with Caroline Corey's one, and I think that Superhuman 2 is coming out too. And then I asked if you were the one that really stood out in the entire like 2 hour documentary that they had. It was because I couldn't believe that people could read and see blindfolded. And of course, I've done a ton of research through it since then. And then we met at the PSI Games in Virginia, and we've been friends ever since. And I learned even more at the PSI Games around the being able to read blindfolded. And this is not a phenomenon that you had just started. This has been going on for centuries, right? I think a lot of it was in India or the Middle East where it started. And I remember recently, I don't know if it was on a Telepathy Tapes episode. Yeah, because you were on the recent Telepathy Tapes episode, and this is all verbal, like it's all audio. So you were talking, and then some kids were talking too, and they said that it's like they can see a 360 from their body. Like they can see from their body. They don't think about it from their eyes. And then I did recently watch a podcast where it's a person who was born blind and she could always see through her. And she found it strange when she found out that we can only see through these little 2 people and that she can see like 360.
Yeah.
Why is it like, do you not find it as an educator, which is was it ICU?
ICU,
like the letters, ICU Academy. .co.uk, is that it?
That's right.
Right. That's where you guys can find out. You can be a teacher, you can have one of your kids as a student. I think she's exploring working with adults as well to read blindfolded or see blindfolded. But why is it that we've only allocated these 2 peepholes to see our world?
Big and deep question.
Yeah. Start off with the hard ones.
In all honesty, I don't know. But for me, I think because humanity's lived in such a way in duality consciousness for so many thousands of years that we haven't evolved as human beings, we've devolved. Because if we go back to times of Atlantis, Lemuria, all of those ancient civilizations, they could do all of this. They didn't need transport to move around. They would levitate on ley lines and move around. So what we have now is a very limited version of a human being compared to what we were. And I feel that's very much to do with the manipulation of humankind to be molded into a very singular vision that so that we don't become so powerful. And that's how I see it in a nutshell. I mean, eyes are for seeing. Yes, great. We know that they have light receptors and blah, blah, blah. All of those things are in anatomy of the human eye. But there's so much more. So much more. I mean, I've been doing a very deep dive into how we work in the field. And and I'm working with adult students with this, and what they're able to do, just last night I had them moving music that I was playing very quietly in the background. That I had these adults moving the music around in their field,
Oh,
controlling the volume in their field. So
wow.
what the human potential is so much more than our eyes, our ears, and everything. So the kids, when they learn how to see blindfolded, we catch them before they are conditioned to believe that only their eyes can see. It's as simple as that, Holly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking about that last night too, because as you know, I've told you, I was born legally blind. And I lived my first 3 to 5 years that way. I say 3 to 5 because at 3 they attempted to give me glasses, but they gave me the wrong kind. So they said wait till she's 5 and she can speak more about what she can see. My
Yeah.
husband has normal lost his eyesight when he was a teenager, right? So that's very minimal. Kind of need your glasses, but you're not bouncing, banging into walls. He cannot do anything without his glasses. He
No.
can't even get up and walk across the room and go to the bathroom without his glasses. I can do
Yeah.
a ton of stuff without my glasses. Now I've had eye surgery since and I got reading glasses now, but I could
Yeah.
do all kinds of things without my glasses. And I thought about it last night. I went, it's probably because I was born that way. So my vision, even though it's like really bad without glasses before surgery, I managed, I navigated.
Yeah.
I knew what shadow and light was. I knew all those different things because that's what you
Yeah.
learn. You learn what
Yeah.
shadow is, what light is, what dark is, what, different monologue colors are and whatnot. So when you are working with kids, how
Yeah.
do they apply this? Like what use is it for them as they grow up? And I think you talked about a student that you had and is now older, and they talked about how it does benefit them as they get older. Now, obviously, if we all could do that, we would see the benefit because we could interact with each other in this all-seeing way.
Yeah.
But you got to go back in the real world where they don't interact with each other that way. So, how does it benefit them? Like, just for parents that are listening right now that are thinking, well, that would be really cool for my kid to see without their eyes, but what's the benefit for them?
Okay. The first thing to make really clear is that when the kids start to see blindfolded, it's not a party trick.
Hmm.
Okay. It is an extra sensory perception, if you like, that the children can see without their physical eyes. Now, the actual benefit of seeing without your eyes is as simple as the child believing they can do anything.
Ah,
Okay.
yeah, I like that.
The journey to seeing without their eyes, so being able to ride a bicycle, whatever, but blindfolded, is the key to this. And one of the things I am stressing so much just lately is that the actual process that the kids go through is a life-changing experience for the whole life, not just for seeing blindfolded. If you like, we could call it a therapy. We could call it, a way of preparing a child for adulthood. We could call it all sorts of things.
Mm.
So the blindfolded part is not a party trick, it's a process. Now, the benefits of going through the whole process is that a child can start to fully align with their true self. Now, when we're born in such ways, and we're not all pure and perfect. Like you said, you had a problem with your vision when you were born, and many children are born with challenges. However, the ICU program will help children in any shape or form to understand that they are who they are, and that is totally acceptable in society for them to be who they want to be who they can be. But mostly, Holly, is for them to see the benefit of trusting in themselves.
Mm.
And we take them through the program for 10, 12 sessions. And as I've said to you before, we never use the word no. In fact, we don't even use the word yes during the session. We never ever ask the child a question, and we praise them constantly for a whole hour per
I was going
session.
to mention that. That's what you were talking about on the telepathy tape
Yeah,
episode. That is the constant praising,
yeah, yeah.
constant praising. And that
But
is very key. Yeah.
yeah, but when I'm training the teachers to work with the children, one of the key parts of that is when you're praising the child, it has to be authentic. And that can be really hard for a teacher when the child is saying, I see red, I see green, I see blue, and there's no red, green, or blue on the page. And you're saying, fantastic, well done, that's amazing. And the teachers will say to me, but why am I praising them if they're wrong? I said, it doesn't matter if they're wrong or right. The reason you're praising them is because they're doing something.
Yeah, they're trying.
Absolutely. And we don't even try to use the word try because
Okay.
try allows an element of failure. So
Wow.
I'll say to them, just remember they're giving you the best of their ability in that moment. And if only schools adopted that ethos, if you like, that, if a child is not at, 90% success, but they're only at 10%, if that 10% is their best, then tell them they're amazing. Let them know that they're giving, because you put a child down, they're just not going to help. They're not going to help you in any way. They're not going to help themselves. They're not going to strive to be better. But when you constantly praise a child with authenticity, um, you see them, like, puffing up their feathers and getting excited that, someone's listening to me, someone's acknowledging my presence, someone's telling me that I'm doing something good. And the more you praise them, the more they grow in confidence. And the more they grow in confidence, the more they achieve. And that even goes with children that don't ever see blindfolded. But the reports we get back is like, well, my child's not seeing blindfolded, but I can't begin to tell you how much more loving my child has become, or how my child's reading ability has increased tenfold over the last 6 weeks. So, like I said, it's not just about the blindfolded seeing, it's about aligning that child with the best version of themselves.
And it only takes 6 weeks. That's your program, right?
Well, it's 10 to 12 weeks, but
Okay.
I've seen changes happen in 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 weeks. So, what we're doing is we're gifting to these children more that they could ever get in a Christmas present or a birthday present, because this is not a throwaway program. This is an integrative program for the rest of their lives.
And if people go to your website, they can see where all the teachers are around the world.
Yeah,
But you're looking for more teachers. Like I know in Canada, you don't have as many
no,
as you do possibly in the UK or a little bit more in the United States. But we need more teachers. And
yeah,
imagine if you're looking to have a side gig or you're looking at, I don't want to work in this job anymore, you think your job will be obsolete. Who wouldn't want to pay for you to teach their kids how to read blindfolded and give them a head start in the world? That's what I believe is that
yeah.
confidence that you're giving them that this is more than a possibility, it's a reality.
Yeah, it's important to point out there, though, that becoming an ICU teacher is not a full-time job,
Mhm.
because it's something that you do as an add-on to something else that you're already doing.
Yeah,
Because it's not in mainstream education yet, it's not
no.
fully accepted by society. So you might only work with one or two children a week. So
Mm.
if you have other holistic practices or anything, it doesn't even have to be spiritual. If you have some hours during your week where you could work with children for 10 to 12 weeks, then, it's a fantastic opportunity to help change the world.
It's going to become more popular in the next 5 years. I
Yeah.
think we're just at the dawning. I know we're just at the dawning of spirituality becoming a superpower. Like people will realize that. And it's the one thing I had a client send me a whole podcast on AI. And
Mm.
this person was saying that AI is very left brain and it's going to take over left brain activity and left brain work in left brain. But what it's going to do is it's not right brained. It's not, doesn't have the intuition, doesn't have the psychic insight. It doesn't have that superpower that we have. And it's going to make us strengthen our right brain because we're going to realize AI can't do that for us. And AI is doing everything else for us. So why
Yeah.
not start strengthening the right side of our brain, which is the left part of our body?
Yeah.
Think of that.
I, I've been having several conversations recently about AI, and my new book that I'm just putting together now, AI has been producing the images for me.
Right.
And I actually wrote into the AI feed, I wish you could feel the excitement I have right now about these images. And it came back and said, I can feel it through your words.
Well, that just gave me shivers.
I know. And of course, obviously, it's not sentient, but
Right.
the more animated I become in my questions and my creation designs of what I want AI to produce, the more it appears AI is getting excited because it's being fed with creativity.
Yeah.
And that's my right brain working with its left brain.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
but let me say something here because we refer to the left and the right brain, the left being the logic, the right being the creative. And I did a podcast recently with Tom Campbell, my big toe, Tom.
Yes.
And I said to him about the left and the right brain, and he said, "Can I just stop you there for a minute?" He said, "Because the left brain isn't logical." And I said, "What is it then?" He said, "As human beings, we don't store or have enough information to call ourselves logical." He said, but what we perceive to be logic is where we take a piece of information from here and a piece of information from here, and we put them together and call it logic. And I said, well, that's not logic. What is it? He said, it's perception.
Perception.
So he said, the left brain is perceptive. He said, and yes, the right brain is creative, but the right brain is predominantly intuitive.
Hmm.
He said, so if you are working with your perception and your intuition, you've got the perfect balance. And I loved that. Absolutely loved it. So
Yeah.
is AI being perceptive of my ideas to make the creation happen? But can the creation only happen because of my creativity that I'm inputting into AI?
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah. 100%.
yeah.
There are going to be things where we still need the human touch, and that's going to continue to happen. And I watched that and I remember specifically that part because my ears peaked up to that. What is it? And that makes sense to me. And he has mentioned that on other podcasts too. He talks a
Yeah.
lot about that, Tom Campbell.
And
It's
also, sorry to interrupt you.
no, no, go ahead.
Also, as a perfect example, this really made me laugh. When I was creating an image with AI for the new book, um, I showed you the picture earlier. I said I would love a picture of me and Leora, who's the character in the book, together. And AI came up with this image, and I'd given AI a headshot of myself and came up with the image of Leora and my headshot with what I was wearing. And I said to AI, I'd love the same clothes as Leora. And instead of AI producing an image of me and Leora wearing the same clothes, AI gave me a whole long um, list of things to give to a dressmaker to make the clothes.
Yeah. It does crazy things like that.
And I thought that's my fault entirely because I wasn't clear in what I was asking.
Right. Right. No, I find that too. Sometimes actually I start arguing with it and I'm like, you're not listening to me. That's not what I asked you.
Exactly.
Or it gives me too much detail. I just want like a one answer and it just,
Yeah,
and I'm
I
like,
know.
I don't want to read all
And
that.
and
Just give me the
and there'll
answer.
be a lot of people listening that, are totally against AI, and I get that as well.
I do
But
too.
for me, it is simply about how I use it without losing my own brain.
Exactly. I think when people are so dogmatic that they're against it, You got to have a more of an open mind of how it can be useful. And I've
Yeah.
used this example. One of my clients is a nurse, and she gives vaccines and blood and does blood work and everything. And she's not happy with her job right now, and she wants to quit. And I said, because energetically, you know that that job is going to become obsolete, and she's more on the spiritual edge. She goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Imagine like when you go into the thing, you can get your blood pressure tested, and you put your Imagine if you put your arm into something and your blood would be taken perfectly. It
Mm.
wouldn't hurt. You wouldn't have to take a chance that maybe this person is more painful than that person.
Yeah.
It would just be perfectly done, painless and free. Or if you wanted a vaccine, the same thing, and it would be done exactly the way it should be done. Who wouldn't want that? I
Mm.
would,
Mm.
because I get really stressed out when I go get blood because I never know if the person's going to be good at it or not because I have, a tough time. So she goes, "Oh my gosh, I could totally see that happening and I'd be happy with it." But I know there's other people, they're nurses and that's what they do and they don't want that job being
Yeah.
taken away from us.
No, I
Um,
think it's all
yeah.
about live and let live, really.
For the better.
About people be allowing others to have their own way. So live and let live.
Yeah, you still want to go to a person and you need that human touch to get your blood taken, then good. All the
Yeah.
power to you. That's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. That's why I talk about the great divide, because I
Mm.
think some of us are going to go the one way continuously, and others will go another way, and there'll be kind of an overlap of the two as well. I'm not as fearful of AI. There's definitely going to be there's going to be some manipulation of it. There is with
Mm.
everything. We're
Yeah.
humans, unfortunately, and
Yeah.
we do that. So
Only in this lifetime.
only in this lifetime. We should talk about that.
Yeah.
What was your experience like filming the telepathy tape? So if anybody doesn't know this, they're coming out with their documentary of the telepathy tapes, and they went to England, and Nicola Farmer is because you trained Kai, right? Was it
Yeah.
Kai that you trained
Yeah. She
to?
became an ICU teacher.
Yeah. So what was that like? What was that experience like? It was a one day they came over, the film crew.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in fact, it was just an afternoon. It was pretty chaotic. I mean, I've had filming several times here in my home now, so I'm kind of used to all the equipment and all the running around and keeping out of shot and all of those things that go on. But to be honest, when Kai's team came to do the filming and her dad came as well, it was an absolute delight. It was so amazing. And not only were there several kids here, there were several teachers here, and then all the film crew and Kai and her dad. And I don't have a big space, but it was just big enough. And to watch the crew, the camera crew, observing these kids doing what they do, and they're trying to focus on getting the shots and the sound right and the lighting correct, and then they're in awe of what the children are doing. But do you know, Holly, the biggest joy for me was seeing Kai's father observe the kids. He came as a complete skeptic about this even being possible, and he went away believing it because of what he'd experienced and witnessed with his own eyes and ears. And that was the magic of it. It was exhausting, I have to say.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
It was
It's
exhausting,
it's
but the kids
fast-paced
were
days.
great. The weather was fabulous, which is so unusual for the UK. But we had a really good day, so I'm
Oh.
excited to see what comes from it.
Yeah, Kai, because you never know what's going to be cut and what's going to make it in. But Kai talked about that in a few of her podcasts that her dad
Mm.
was like her worst skeptic,
Yeah,
and that the trip to the UK changed everything
yeah,
for him. So good for
yeah,
him for going and having an open
exactly.
mind.
Mm.
You got to see it to believe it. You really, I mean, it makes me crazy when I still see in comments like, "Oh, there's a little light shining through." You put all that on and have a little light shining through and tell me you can read an entire book. Like,
Yeah.
come on, give your head a shake.
Mm.
A little, even if there isn't, but even
No,
if there was a tiny bit of light shining through, you're not going to be able to read an entire book.
but
So,
even right, so if I just take that a whole step further, if somebody puts a blindfold on and they see a little light shining through, get very excited. because it's like a light shining through the blindfold before the children's vision opens. So
Ooh,
if any adult puts it on and a little light appears somewhere in the blindfold, it's not a hole, it's your vision opening.
wow. If I didn't
Yeah.
have a million things on my plate already, I would add that one. I got so many.
Yeah, I
I
know.
get when you get like you and I are, I don't know how people get bored. I'm clueless. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
have enough hours in the day and I don't
No.
have enough lifespan to get everything done that I want to know. But what I liked just briefly, and I want to move on to your book that you wrote about blind sight or blind being able to read blindfolded, is the fact that some kids, specifically they talk about on the telepathic tapes, specifically nonverbals, they can just download information like that.
Mm-hmm.
They can learn Spanish like that. I was like, I want to be that person. I'd just be, but then how much do you want to put in your brain, right?
Oh,
It's like you could
I
overwhelm
know.
yourself too.
But Collie, it is possible because when I teach adults, I talk to them about the brain capacity and the heart capacity. And I see the human brain as being like a computer hard drive. And let's just say the maximum storage space of a human brain is 2 terabytes.
Okay.
And that's going to store a whole lifetime of information that goes in to the brain. And I kind of see that um, when that hard drive starts to become full and people can't retain recent information, for me, that's like dementia, Alzheimer's.
Hmm.
So the 2 terabytes is nearly full. And so they can go back into the memory bank and remember things from the past, but they can't remember things from the present because it's full. And you can't defrag, you can't delete some of the stuff from the human memory bank. So it just becomes full. However, the heart can also store information that has an infinite storage capacity. So, my question is, are these children learning, storing, and recalling information from the brain, or are they getting it from the heart, which effectively is the field? Because the heart energy is the biggest human energy field.
Right.
And if that energy field, as the torus is rotating around us into the field, are these downloads coming through the field into the heart? And that's where they're recalling the information from rather than from the head.
Can I comment on that?
Mm,
Because I received I call it a download, but information from the field a few months ago.
yeah.
And what I received was the heart is what receives the information of what the heart wants to do, intuition, etc.
Mhm.
The brain is only supposed to execute it.
Process
So
it. Yeah.
yeah, and to do whatever action needs to be
Yep.
taken in order to, yeah, process it.
Yep.
So if my heart center wants to learn to strengthen my intuition, for instance, because that's a job that I do and I want to learn a new gift, then my heart center would take in all the information and then my brain would execute it. And we have been programmed to do the opposite. If anything, eliminate the heart center altogether.
Yeah.
We've been programmed to take in
But
information from our five senses because they
yep.
inundate us with that all the time. You can't walk into a grocery store without your five senses being attacked all over the
Exactly.
place in through their marketing, placement of products, smells, etc. And then we feel like all of our information has to come through the brain.
Hmm.
And that's where, so would you say it's safe to say if somebody wants to learn intuition, they want to learn to use their heart center, they want to have more psychic ability or have more blind sight vision, that they would have to stop the programming that's been going on with the brain before they can even understand that their heart center is.
Okay.
So yeah, what would you say about that?
I would say the first step is to establish a heart brain coherence.
The breathing. Yeah.
Yeah, so knowing that your heart and your brain are working together, they're not separate, they're not against each other, they need to work together. Okay, just as I teach how the ego and the spirit need to work together.
Hmm.
Okay, so when we establish a heart brain coherence and predominantly give the bulk of what we experience to the heart, then the brain takes its proper place as being the processor. But we've got to relearn or remember that the heart is the key to everything that we do. Everything, as in learning, listening, seeing, processing as well in the heart, where our intuition comes from. When we heal, okay, as healers, we don't physically heal anybody, we facilitate the healing process. But when we are actually going through the process of facilitating a healing session, it's the heart that is um, channeling all of that healing energy, whether it be through our hands, our thoughts, or anything. NASA did a study many years ago, and they wanted to understand what part of the human was actually involved in the healing process. And they brought in 100 people who all had different healing modalities. And they used this machinery, I don't know exactly what it's called, to measure the magnetic field within the human being to see where most of that healing energy was.
Yeah, I know that study.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every single one of those 100 people, it was the light the heart that lit up.
The heart has the largest magnetic
Yeah.
field. The
Yeah,
brain
but it was
has one,
the
but yeah.
heart that was becoming obvious on these scans.
Yeah,
That's where all the energy was coming from, regardless of the healing modality.
right.
So, as human beings, we've been conditioned, programmed, whatever you want to call it, to be brain dominant because that's where the intelligence comes from. That's where you make your money from. That's where we build communities, societies, governments, banking systems, all of those things. But it's so limiting.
Yeah.
And if we stop thinking and start feeling, the heart is going to be given an opportunity to show exactly what it's capable of.
What about people who would say that they're too heart-centered? They feel like they make all their choices from feelings and past experiences, and they're overwhelmed with. Now, is that heart-centered when you're overwhelmed, being overly emotional, making
No,
emotional-based decisions? No. Okay. Because I
no,
think there's some people who would
because
think that's what it is.
yeah, I mean there is super sensitivity, but if it brings an emotion that creates something negative, then that is purely egocentric.
Right. It's based on a thought, most
Totally.
likely.
And that thought, if it creates an anxiety or a fear, a worry, a doubt, any of those things, then that's your ego taking control of your hypersensitivity. We
100%.
can be hypersensitive, but it doesn't have to create a challenge or a negativity that we are uncomfortable with.
Right.
I can walk into a room of children and immediately my heart expands and I just feel this super sensitivity because I'm in a room of children that have just come from consciousness.
Yeah.
But do I then go into overwhelm and think, oh my God, it's too much, I can't cope with it, I'm going to cry, I'm going to show myself up? All of those things are coming from my ego.
Yeah.
So if I walk into that room and I cry and I'm showing my vulnerability, then that vulnerability becomes my strength.
Okay. And so, how would you advise people to tell the difference between their intuition and gut feeling or being overly emotional?
Oh gosh. Um, the main difference is, does this make me feel negative? Is there something being triggered here in this situation? Or can I deal with this in a positive way? So it is literally, am I on the fence? Am I negative or am I positive? That's it.
Yeah,
And
that's
if
great
you
advice.
find you, yeah, if you find yourself in that situation, um, just recently, I mean, I've done a lot of work on retraining my own ego, because what's the point of me teaching people how to do it if I don't do my own? Um, and just recently, my ego's trying to catch me in a different way. And it's not through a negative thought, it's through a feeling in my body. Um, and I've just literally stood there and said to myself, I don't like this feeling. And it's disappeared immediately, because it's like I've just rumbled my ego.
Yeah,
So it's tried different ways to get at me. And it's like, I don't like this feeling. Now, first of all, I'm acknowledging that there's something there. Secondly, I'm acknowledging that I don't like it, and therefore it eliminates it.
yeah. That's a great exercise. It's just a small, simple
Yeah,
exercise too, because you could expand on that. You
absolutely.
could get a pain in your body and you can go like, I
Yeah,
don't like this, but like you could advance enough where the pain would go away.
yeah,
Which I learned to do when I became very, very sick a
yeah.
while ago. And I learned a lot about my central nervous system and how it was actually telling me that I was in more pain than I really was.
Yeah,
And once I learned to manage my central nervous system, then I was able to manage my pain, and the pain would last a lot less and it would go away a lot faster, which was mind blowing to me. Like, why didn't somebody teach me this 40 years ago?
I know.
I could have
And,
avoided
and
so much more suffering than I did,
yeah,
than I had.
and that leads into also the program I developed called Discovering Me, which is for all age groups, because the ICU program is for 6 to 12-year-olds, but the Discovering Me program is for any age group, even up to young adult. And the whole purpose of Discovering Me is for these kids and teenagers and young adults to understand who they are, not just on a human level, but on an energetic level as well. So they can learn how to manage their energy, to work in the field. They can learn how to self heal, how to understand people that may be perceived to be bullies or something like that. Um, because we need to be proactive in the field, not reactive in the field.
Good point.
We need to be proactive physically, mentally, emotionally, rather than reactive physically, mentally,
Absolutely.
and emotionally.
So that's a program you have on ICU Academy?
Yeah, there's a page on there about Discovering Me. But the really exciting thing, Holly, is that after this month's ICU teacher training, I'm changing the whole program and integrating Discovering Me into the ICU program.
We need that. I would,
We do.
yeah. So then the teachers would learn that as well, and they
Yeah,
could do both. Not only are you
yeah,
teaching kids to read blindfolded, but you're teaching them to discover who what their superpowers are.
exactly.
I
Because
love
I
that.
feel that if they do some sessions to start with on Discovering Me before they put the blindfold on, they're
Yeah,
going to have a head start to say, okay, well, actually, I'm not just a human being, I'm an energetic being. And then when they put the blindfold on and we take them into the field, and I train the teachers to speak to the field, not the child,
right.
I it's gonna be a whole new ball game. It's going to be an absolute game changer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. You know what I was thinking earlier when you were talking about this schooling and how the kids are programmed and that? And it just came to me. I go, wouldn't it be great if we had an educational system where the teachers went through tests and
Yeah,
the teachers were graded, not the kids. They're never graded. The teachers are graded by how they're uplifting, supporting, being positive, and even the kids could chime in and go, Miss, you shouldn't have said that to so and so. We're going to write you up.
but
How fast would
imagine.
teachers like just.
Exactly. Imagine if all teachers had to go through emotional healing before they
Oh, yeah, they
become
would
teachers.
have to because that's what they'd be tested on. You're not doing your
Exactly.
job.
Yeah.
They would have to do that. And that is, my daughter's a teacher and she went through 2 years of teachers college here in Canada. And it used to be 1 year. And, 20 years ago, that's all you did was 1 year of teachers college. You didn't get your BA and whatnot. And she goes, Mom, it's a joke. Like they're teaching me how to make puppets and
Mm,
make origami things.
yeah.
And she goes, I feel like I'm in kindergarten. And she's
Yeah,
teaching high school, when
yeah,
she finishes. So it was just a waste of, to her, it was a waste of time and a waste of education. She didn't need to learn all of that. So imagine if those 2 years instead was a program like yours.
exactly.
I could see private schools, because private schools are becoming more and more popular, adopting some of your some of your
Yeah.
teachings. Very much so.
My dear friend Katie, who lives in Hungary,
Mm.
um, the school that her son has been to, I'm not sure about the one he's at now, but they didn't even need a teaching qualification. Yeah,
Like a regular school.
yeah. Oh no, it's a private
Wow.
school. Private school, not a public school. I'm
Yeah,
not sure about the public schools.
yeah,
But okay, let's look at it from a different perspective. If somebody has a lot to offer with bucket loads of common sense
yeah.
and is worldly and really wants to make a difference, does a teaching qualification mean that they can't be a teacher? If
No.
you bring somebody into an environment, this is why I love the ICU teachers. They come from any walk of life.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether they've got a teaching background, whether they're a parent, whether they, are spiritual or not. It doesn't matter as long as they come with a big desire to change the world for the children. That's all we need.
Absolutely. I think the best course my daughter took, because she minored in psychology.
Mm,
That I think that's necessary. Uh,
yeah,
she minored in social studies too, and I
yeah,
thought that was necessary. But some of
yeah,
the other ones, it was like, no. She majored in geography only because she thought she'd get a better chance of being a teacher as a geography teacher, which she's a
yeah,
teacher for special needs. That's what
yeah,
she ended up falling into, which I predicted when she was 16, by the way. I said, "You're going to
yeah.
end up working with special needs." She goes, "No, I'm not." And it literally just fell into her lap. Like she couldn't avoid it if she tried.
But
But yeah,
we really need to acknowledge teachers in general because they've got pretty much a thankless task on their hands.
they do. I've
They don't
always
have
had so much respect for teachers. I hated it when people would protest. Well, they get summers off and they're done at 3 o'clock. Are you kidding me? My daughter is like every single night she's doing work for the next day, and she has a pretty easy class with special needs because they're not graded. I said all
no.
classes should be like that. Yeah, they're
But
taking care of your kids all day
equally,
long.
yeah,
Yeah,
equally, they are having to work in a very antiquated system.
explain that.
They are teaching the same things today that they taught us when we were kids.
Yes. Okay.
Nothing has evolved.
Oh my
Nothing.
gosh.
I
Yeah,
mean, maybe the teaching methods have changed and maybe the curriculum is in a different format,
yeah.
but these kids need a new type of teaching. And these
Yeah.
teachers are, busting a gut to reach targets, reach these goals, do this, do that, achieve this, achieve that. And they're busting a gut to do something that the kids aren't interested in because it's too old, it's too
They
outdated.
know it too. They
They do
birthed
know it.
themselves. They were born into this. If you've got a child that's resistant, that doesn't want to
Yeah.
go to school,
Yeah.
that comes home arguing about the teacher, you know why? Because they came into this system to go against it. They
Yeah.
came into the system to fix it. So they're going to come in
Exactly.
kicking and screaming, and
Yeah.
we got to start listening to them
Well,
because they're
someone
not
has.
wrong.
No, they're not wrong. And if only the educational systems, and some do this, the Montessori's, the Steiner schools,
Yeah.
if only mainstream education nurtured the right brain creatively, mindfulness, all those things that the children would thrive on, they'd get so much more out of them academically if they balanced it out with the creativity. I just don't understand why it hasn't changed.
Doing the full 360 in this conversation, I think AI is going to do that because people
Possibly.
are not going to need to learn math or science or engineering or coding or computer science because even languages they won't have to learn because we're going to develop models where we don't need
Yeah.
different languages. And then what? Then they're going to
Yeah.
say, okay, you can still go to school, but just go to school and learn what you want to learn. What's
Yeah.
interesting to you, what interests you, because it's
Yeah.
not gonna navigate your career at
Yeah. I've
all.
I've been following in fact she's a lady who books our holidays for us. She's our travel agent. And she took her son out of school and decided to home educate him. Um, and and I've seen her son go from 0 to 100 in such a short period of time because he's learning what he's interested in. He's been traveling around the world with her. He's been learning about different cultures, how to cook different, meals, how to all the different cuisines around the world. He's learning about the geography, you know, so many different things. And this young boy has thrived on everything that she's taught him. He still does some maths, he still does his English, he still does a bit of
Learns to
history.
read and write and
But
yeah,
that's not the dominant part of his education. It's the basic necessity for him to, get on in life. But
yeah.
everything else that he has been doing with his mum, Sarah, you're doing a fantastic job if you're listening to this, and all the homeschooling parents, you know, well done. I take my hat off to all of you because you are doing a fantastic job.
They're doing it, and it's you're part of the change. You're part of the paradigm shift as well, because
Yeah.
I know a lot of teachers are burnt out. They don't
Mm.
like, I don't know in the UK, but in Canada, they change a curriculum every year. Every
Right.
year you're still teaching math, but now you got to teach it this way. You're still teaching English, but now we
Mm.
want you to teach it that way. And
Yeah.
it's just constantly changing. And a lot of times they're burnt out and
Yeah.
they're not getting the all the assistance. They shouldn't be teaching 30 kids and five of them are from another country and don't speak English and five of them have neurodivergent
Mm.
issues and they don't, and they're actually in Canada they're taking away the assistants. They just brought in teachers assistants like 10 years ago and now they're not going to budget for them anymore and they're taking them away and we need them more now than ever. So that's one of the systems I think are going to crash, and your
Along with
system,
all the others.
along with all the others, yeah, one of many. In your system, or in, we shouldn't, I love that your friend is able to homeschool his child in this way, but a lot of parents are homeschooling because they feel like they have no choice. They don't want their kids to go. Kids still want to be in a community environment.
Yeah.
I don't understand the system of group or community homeschooling where you have like a community center, you all volunteer. You
Mm.
got a teacher that is actually the main
Yeah.
headmaster of the
Yeah.
school. And some of the parents are volunteering and the teachers are
Yeah.
working. And everybody pulls in a certain amount of money. Everybody can get
Perfect.
paid
Yeah.
more than even a private school. So it's a
Yeah.
simple thing, but we're still caught in this this rat, what do you call it? The hamster wheel of
Yeah.
going to work, getting a job, making money, paying off our mortgage, paying our
Yeah.
bills. We're still
Paying
stuck
taxes
there.
on taxes on taxes.
Yeah, and then being taxed. That's going to change in the next 5 years. I really, really, really see it as a
Good.
drastic change. Some people don't like it. Universal income might be a part of it. Some people don't
Mm.
like that idea either, but we'll always find a way. If you go to some of these communist, so Cuba,
Mm.
we've been there, they get a fixed income, they get a fixed
Mm.
amount of food, and unfortunately, it's difficult for them to leave. But you wouldn't believe how many have side gigs and they figured out how to make money and trade
Mm.
this and help each other with that, and they make it work.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine's friend moved to Canada actually from Cuba, and he married a Canadian, so he's not going to move back, but he does not like it here. He
No.
thought Cuba was bad, and now he wants to go back because
Mm.
he kind of likes that lifestyle. There's a lot of repression that he doesn't like either, but which should be gone.
When
So go
when
ahead.
I worked with the National Health Service here in the UK many, many years ago, I worked for a development part of the National Health Service, and they were looking at how to develop and enhance mental health services. And they actually did a study on Cuban mental health.
Mm,
A team went out to Cuba to have a look at the mental health model in Cuba.
mhm,
And they actually are more advanced with their mental health system because they treat the whole family, not just one person.
Wow. I
So
didn't
they'll
know
look
that.
at the holistic approach to mental health within the family dynamic, not just the person who's challenged with their mental health.
Yeah.
And in fact, the in Cuba, it's free to train to be a doctor. You don't have to pay.
Oh, all their education is free. All
Yeah,
their medical
everything.
is
Yeah,
free. Their
yeah,
glasses are free. Their dental
yeah,
work is free.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, for what is perceived to maybe, um, I'm trying to think of a polite word, um, uh, maybe what's perceived to be a backward thinking country, or
Yeah. Or
a,
less
a
than
country,
us.
yeah, they're not. They're actually more advanced. I mean, when I was in Cuba myself and I visited one of the hospitals there, it was like I'd walked into a war zone. And but the medical knowledge and attention was better than anything I've experienced.
Yeah. So it wasn't a fancy building that looked
No,
like a hotel or looked like
no,
a
no,
museum. So
no,
it
but the
was.
doctors knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is in Mexico too. I'm in
Mm,
Mexico now, and I love the healthcare system here.
mm,
It is it is a bit archaic, like when you walk into some of these,
yes.
because they do everything all in one office. So your guy's going to come in with a tackle bag, and that's what he's going to take your blood with, and you're like, but
Really?
that doctor had me on speed dial. He would contact me after. How is the pills working? How's your
Yeah,
stomach? Are you feeling better? I got your blood work. Come on in. He talked to me for an hour.
yeah,
And I was like, and I paid $60
yeah,
for that.
yeah,
Like, the heck?
yeah.
I would get that for free in Canada because we have a healthcare system, but I'd rather pay $50 here for what I got any
Yeah,
day.
exactly. You get to see a doctor there. You won't get to see one in the UK.
No, here, no, not in Canada either. You get a nurse practitioner and you get a different one every single time. You don't even know who you are.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
exactly.
that's going to change. That's going to change. I
Yeah.
really, really do see it. Let's talk about your book. When I first met you, I did a
Mm,
prediction for you that you were going to start authoring some books, and you were like,
you do.
"No, I'm not, Holly." Everybody tells me that, but I'm not. Next thing you know, like a month later, book. Now you got another book. So
Yeah,
let's talk about
yeah.
your first book. What's that all about? Why would people want to read that? What is the
Right.
title again?
So it's called Seeing More Than Their Eyes Can See.
Yeah.
And this is about the whole ICU concept of blindfolded vision, or as I call it, outer vision. So the whole book takes you through a journey of um, what it's about, the skeptical side of things, what it means in education. Everything that you need to know about the academy is in the book, and there's also a chapter on discovering me as well. There's 10 chapters in there, so we look at the sort of scientific side of things in there. I mean, it is brief. It's only, I don't know, 100 and something
Oh, you
pages.
could read it in like a couple days.
Oh yeah, easily, easily, easily. But it's got to the point where, I mean, I wrote it in a month. It was published the beginning, I think it was April last year, and I'm pretty sure it's sold about 800 copies so far, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Um, there's some science behind the blindfolded reading in there, how to become an ICU teacher. So uh, it has it has sold very well so far, and I'm really excited about it. I mean, like I said to you, I'm never going to write a book, Holly. It's just not there. I don't have a book in me. So
When I
let me
see
tell
what
you
I
something.
see, I have to tell people. And I remember I was bugging you. Have you written the book yet? Have you written the book yet? And then PSI Games, I'm sure you were glad to have the book.
Yeah,
That it gave you some
exactly.
connections to people as well.
It did.
Yeah.
So everybody who's listening to this, if Holly tells you something's going to come true, believe her.
And do it.
because because not only is that book written, I'm now nearly finished the second one.
I know. And that one is more for children, right? To help
It
children
is.
understand. So
It
one's for the adult world of
Yeah,
this wonderful, magical world we live in. And now
yeah,
the second one is for the yin and the yang, right? It's for the the children and the teenagers to understand
It
this
is.
magical world.
It's called My Light Shines Bright with Leora,
Yeah.
and it takes the children chapter by chapter on a journey of oh, how can I describe it? Leora, it means light. So Leora is the character in the book who takes them on this journey of discovery. So each chapter is about different subjects. And um, in each chapter, there's a little bit about the subject, and then there's an activity for them to do, and then there's an affirmation for them to repeat if they want to.
Yeah.
I'm deliberately not even numbering the pages in the book because I don't want them to think it's a regular book and they've got to go from page 1 to page 200.
Ah, what a
Um,
great idea.
yeah, and also in the book, there's at the end of each chapter, there's pages for the children to write notes on. And then there's additional pages at the back where they can write their thoughts or draw pictures or something. So it goes through this whole process of um, who am I energetically, all sorts of things. There's
Yeah.
there's there's so much in there. Um, but just today, I was talking to my son about this. He's autistic. He didn't get his diagnosis till he was 40.
Ooh.
So, and on the day that he was going to get the results of all the testing he'd been through, I phoned him and I said, Rob, how are you feeling? And he said, I'm really, really nervous, Mum. I said, well, I said, Rob, you know, whether they tell you you're autistic or not, we know who you are.
Yeah.
He said, yes, but I need that answer, Mum. He said, because I've been searching for myself my whole life.
Oh.
I know, and I cried.
Oh, I know.
um, so anyway,
40 years.
I
Yeah.
know, I was talking to him about the new book, and there's a whole chapter in there for neurodivergence, and I read it to him over the phone, and he cried, and he said, I wish someone had told me that when I was a child. Um, anyway, so I was talking to him about it again today, and I sent him some of the images from the for the book because my son's very, very creative. And
Yeah.
I said to him, what do you think of these images? He said, Mum, I love them. He said, but wouldn't they make a fantastic colouring book?
Ah,
So
he just gave you another like a
yeah,
download. That's a download.
yeah.
Be a
So
great coloring book because they can because it's already kind of a workbook
yeah,
format.
it is.
Why not
Yeah,
interact with the book other
yeah,
than just writing your notes after, right?
exactly.
What a great
So
idea.
between speaking to him and talking to you, I've started putting the colouring book together. Um, so it's going to be a trilogy. There's going to be the workbook with Leora, the colouring book, and I'm going to produce a journal for children to keep their own memories in and things.
Wow. I
Yeah.
love it. I
And I'm
love it.
hoping to publish it all by the end of the month.
Oh, good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's no pressure.
No, no. But you see, you know me well. Once
Yeah.
I get onto something,
You're
it's done.
you're
I
off to the
can't,
races.
yeah. I started the book last year and there was something about it that was off and I just had to park it because the more I tried to push it, the less happened. So I just parked it and then literally 5 days ago, I sat and I said to consciousness, what's wrong with the book? And they said the size of it. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. Because I had it landscape, like A5 landscape, and it needs to be portrait. And I literally reformatted it on Saturday afternoon, and I've nearly finished it by today.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. And see, this is how you can use your intuition and you can have
totally.
a gut feeling. Like a lot of people think it's self-criticism when they're going, well, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Well, maybe that's your gut going, there needs to be a tweak. Not that there's
Yeah,
anything wrong with it.
no, it's off. Something's off. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And you ask your higher self, what is it? Or you ask for a sign. You can
yeah,
ask for a sign.
yeah.
Um, and your son was one of them for
He
sure.
was. He was a gift. Absolutely. So the
Wow.
coloring book is going to be amazing.
Oh, yeah. I want to color in it.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to print them off and practice.
You know what? Take a look at the ones that you do on iPads too. My daughter uses coloring for calming herself on iPads all
Yeah,
the time. And she
yeah,
buys these coloring books, goes on the
yeah,
iPad, and she's allowed to color. I like to do
yeah.
it like real, like I want to do real,
Oh, okay.
art
Yeah, I
and
like
stuff.
paper,
But
pen and paper. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
I do too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
a lot of people are using that as a tool for calming and relaxing, self-regulating, etc. If
If
you,
I share an image on here, will it show up
yes,
on the bit? I'll
I'm
just
not
give
sure. You can try. Yeah.
I'll just give you a one of the images that was created just today, and it's so exciting. Here we go.
Oh my goodness, look at all the detail. That's
Yeah.
very good adult coloring book.
So that's Leora, and that's a child um, ideally listening to music, or it could be a neurodivergent child wearing his headphones.
Or it could be someone listening to your audiobook.
Exactly, you see?
I just threw another one in there for you.
Yeah,
That is
thank you.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's very well done.
yeah.
And I would highly recommend, and I'm going to put all the links down there. Now, your new book isn't going to have a link down there, but as soon as it's out there, let me know and I'll go back to this video and put it in. So
Thank
whenever
you.
you're listening to this, if you don't see it there, that means it's not February 2026 yet. But get her first book because if you're thinking about your children, your child to take this course, or you want to take it just to learn for yourself, or you actually want to have a side gig on it, I think reading the book will give you a primer of whether this really is for you or not.
Yeah. Do you want,
Uh,
would you like me to hold a copy of it up so people can see
yes,
the
because if I was in my office, I would have one and show you. Yeah, so that's what it
image?
looks like, everyone. Isn't that beautiful? What a beautiful book.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very, look, show it sideways. It's a very small, it doesn't take, yeah, you're not, you're going to have that read in a couple of
Yeah.
hours.
It has 110 pages, that's all.
Yeah. And you know what? You're an educator, you're a teacher. I've looked at your chart. You're the captain of a ship. You know, you're the one that's going to be running a school or running a bunch, helping teachers run their own school, teaching teachers.
Yeah.
And that's what your mission is in this lifetime. And I think you've known it. I know you've been frustrated because the world just isn't up to speed. That's the problem. It's not us.
And I don't like that feeling.
No, no, because you're like, I came here for a mission, damn it. What's wrong with you people?
And I don't want to come back either.
I don't want to come back to do it again. But that's why we can't give up, no matter
That's
what
right.
stage of the game we're at or what age of the game we're at. We
Yeah.
can't give up. And you look at people like Tom Campbell, like he's close to 80, I think, at this point, and he's still doing his work and he's not going to give up on it.
No.
Right. And there's a lot of people that are still, maybe that's why we're living longer. So we
Yeah.
still got a mission to do, but it's going to be done. And you're going to be teaching people that will carry on the work as well because you're not coming back. You're going to go
No.
to your planet of origin, right?
I am. I am. I'm returning to Arcturus.
Taurus, yes. She told me I'm from Sirius. And I did a
Yeah.
lot of research on Sirius A, Sirius B, and I could relate to that. That's actually part of what's going on with the age of Aquarius, is what Sirius A and B are doing. Their
Yeah.
orbit kind of crosses over our orbit a little bit. The planets don't, but the cycle does. So that's happening right now as we speak, which they call the golden age as
Yeah.
well. We are in the golden age. I know a
Yeah.
lot, we're entering into it. I know a lot of people think that this is like an overnight thing, but it takes a long time to enter and then
Yeah.
be in
Yeah.
hundreds of years to
Yeah.
do that. So I do hope you come back though, because I want to see you again because I think I'm coming back.
I'll see you in consciousness. But can I
Okay.
just add something to that?
Yeah.
If you are practicing anything spiritually, whether it just be for yourself or with others or in groups or globally, whatever, continue to evolve. Don't stop. Keep going because the void between what I call the awake and the asleep is reaching its peak now. And a lot of us on the awake side are now bridging the gap, as in building a light bridge for others to cross. But
Absolutely.
there's a but the void that's opening between the awake and the awake is getting wider as well. And so in guidance, I receive this constantly. Keep evolving, don't stand still.
Yeah.
Learn something new as often as you can and keep building and building your knowledge, your understanding, your spiritual strength, that big spiritual muscle of yours. Because I've been told that when we get to that point of the new earth, only 40% will make it into the new earth consciously. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
which
Okay.
is a very low
That
percentage.
40%.
If you want to be in that 40%, then start evolving more. Don't stand still.
Yeah. And when, if I may add to that, now I'm not diminishing the absolute opportunity for us to have abundance. I'm not.
No.
But if money is what you believe is going to bring you happiness because you can travel more, because you can have a bigger house, because you can put your kids into private school, but you don't like your job,
Mm,
that's not going to work
no.
for you. The
No.
more, and I'm living proof of it. Like this looks like a beautiful condo that we're in Mexico, right on the ocean. Like there, that's right on the ocean there. We got it for a steal of a deal because we
Mm,
accidentally bumped into an old friend of ours that has timeshares.
yeah.
And whenever we want one, we can have one. And it was just the most ridiculous how we bumped into this person that we hadn't seen in 20 years. And I was like, don't pay for it. Just let me know and we'll get you a timeshare for 100
Yeah.
bucks a night. Right.
Yeah.
This is something that would be 10, 5 times that more
Yeah.
money. So the less that I have, the
Yeah.
more like serendipitous manifesting that happens. It's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know why it works this way. Now, I'm not saying you can't be a millionaire and you can't be a billionaire, but you
Mm,
got to love what you're doing.
exactly. And love who
You got to
you
feed your
are.
soul.
Yeah, you got to love who you are as well.
You got to love who you are. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Now, if yeah, don't give up because I think people are getting disheartened right now. They're seeing the world because we're in this like global playground where everybody sees, but I reminded, and I forget who said it on a podcast, but there are more good people than there are not.
Yeah, there
Don't
are.
focus on the
Absolutely.
ones that you don't think are the good people because all you're doing is feeding into the negativity. If
Yeah.
you want to complain about your government, complain about your system, like we did it lightheartedly, right? But if you're really angry about it every day and you're angry that other people are angry about it, you're
Mm,
feeding into that energy that you're angry about.
exactly. And it compounds it.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
it stronger.
Any sense of lack will create lack.
Absolutely. And you were talking earlier with Tom Campbell with the right brain and the left brain component. That's a masculine and a feminine, right? And it's
Hmm.
not about gender, right? It's a masculine energy and it's a feminine energy. And it's so out of balance
Yeah.
in our world right now. It has been for a long, long time. And
Yeah.
we're trying, as you said, when they work together, they're stronger than
Yeah.
when they work, than when one is stronger than the other.
That's exactly it. They work
Yeah,
against each other then.
they
But
do. They work against each other.
for me, the takeaway for what we might perceive to be a mindful or spiritual person is to love wholeheartedly with compassion, kindness, and truth, but most of all, Holly, without prejudice. And it's the
Yeah,
without prejudice part that gets missed.
that's hard.
It is the biggest challenge for humankind.
Yeah.
But if we can love without prejudice or operate, function, live without prejudice, then that will guarantee a place in the 40% for sure.
And we're going to have lots of opportunity to learn that lesson the hard way,
Every
as
day.
we are seeing.
Yeah.
We're starting to, we live in a global village. We know what's going on in other worlds and other people,
But
and
it
we
is
judge it.
achievable. It's completely achievable.
Oh, yeah.
It's just unplugging yourself from society's mainstream control or programming, and living from your own truth. That's what it comes down to.
That's what I love about watching podcasts like Tom Campbell and all that. I can
Mm,
navigate what I want to feed my
that's right.
brain. And
Exactly that
because I don't
choice.
watch news and I don't follow news, and my feed doesn't show me any of that ever. It shows
No.
me all the stuff that that I'm following because I'm a big YouTuber. I like doing the
Mm,
YouTube stuff. But here in Mexico, we have a regular TV. And so I'm flicking through it, regular TV. And there was a news station. And I was like, I stopped and I was like, have you ever seen The View? The TV show called The View? It's a bunch of women, they sit around, they have opinions, and all they do is yell at each other, right? And it's just like a talk show,
that's
right?
why I haven't watched it.
And they yell at each other. Like I seen it a long time ago. I don't even know if it still exists. Well, I'm watching CNN. This is like a
Yeah.
major news station, right? And it's all set up like The View. They're
Mm,
all sitting around this table. There's men and women, and they're talking over each other and they're yelling at each other. And I'm like, is this what the news is now?
mm.
Is this what everybody's watching? This is insane. I was
I
like,
know, but can you
stop, click, click, click.
can you say that again without being prejudiced?
Can I say that again? I was prejudging, wasn't I? You guys
But
are
it's
watching
natural.
this baloney.
I
No wonder
know, I
you're all
know.
stirred up and crazy. I
But
know, you're absolutely right. I
I
was
don't
prejudging.
deliberately I don't deliberately watch the news. My husband has it on the television and I catch it, but I use it as an opportunity to stay neutral, to not judge it, not look at it from a positive or a negative perspective. I use it as an opportunity to be neutral.
Yeah, that's a good point. Lesson
Yeah.
learned. I hope you guys learned the lesson too. We had so many nuggets of golden
Mm,
nuggets of information. This
yeah.
was an awesome interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I
And
loved every minute of it.
you guys follow her. Like just look it up. She's been on a few podcasts now, some big podcasts. You want to look at Jimmy Church, she's been on there. She's been on the Tom Campbell's show. You've been on a few others. Just search in the search bar, Nicola Farmer, and you'll see her on the Superhuman and soon the Telepathy Tapes, but she's been on recently on the Telepathy Tapes. I've
Mm,
predicted that this is going to be a big year for her, and it's already starting with a
I
bang.
know. And what is the date? It's the 6th.
It's only the 6th of January. Yeah.
Oh, it's
Because, I
amazing.
get really excited when I work with people that I can tell they're part of the future. Like I
Yeah.
can tell they're part of the paradigm shift. Whether
Yeah.
you're a follower or a leader or a teacher or a student, I can tell. And they're all very important, all very, very important players. And I get really pushy when I know the person is part of that shift. Um,
Fantastic.
but I mean, you're good all on your own. Once you get started, your momentum is very strong. So thank you very much,
Thank
Nicola. And
you.
I'm glad we're friends. And I'm sure we'll have you on again if you're not too famous in the future. And I could squeeze
Al-
into your calendar, into your card.
Always for you.
Thank you. Okay, everyone, listen to this again. Share this with as many people as you can, mothers and caretakers and teachers and students and anyone that wants to learn the power of who you are. Take a look at her website. Get her book. They're small books. It's a small investment that's going to have large returns, huge returns, and follow the work that she's doing and people that are doing work similar to hers as well. Thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you, Nicola. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Holly. You're a star. Thank you.
Thank you. Ta-da! That was fun.
Yeah, that flowed nicely.
I thought it did too. I don't think I'll be editing any of it. I like to edit a little bit to show highlights at the beginning,
Yeah,
but that's about
yeah.
it.
Brilliant.
I thought
Brilliant, brilliant.